Hey guys, Julio with Curb Appeal Pros here. Just wanted to show you a quick video of how we remove and reinstall carbs on our GX690 10-gallon a minute washer. It's a Honda engine that's connected to our 10-gallon a minute pump. It drives the pump. But we just wanted to show you guys a quick video of how we actually remove it, so that way you guys kind of have some methods of how to remove it and reinstall it yourselves. A carb cleaning itself will be for another day in another video, show you how to clean out the jets, take it apart, etc. But today is just going to be able to kind of diagnose what you're looking at, to be able to remove it and be able to reinstall it without having to pay a shop fee, a couple $100 just to do the same thing you can do in the matter of minutes in your own shop or driveway, whatever it may be. So here we go. Alrighty guys, so here we're going to go ahead and get started. All you really need in order to remove a carb from a GX690 here is going to be some needle nose pliers for the tubing, the air tubes, the fuel line, etc., and also a 10mm socket. So we're going to go ahead and take off the air intake portion of the engine here. As you can see here, here's our actual filter itself. It's put on by a wing nut. Make sure you put everything together and take it off. As you can see here, I've already pre-loosened some things, so that way it makes it easier for the video for you guys to see. So all of these things are held on by some screws or some nuts. So here, these are all 10mm. They all come right off because I pre-loosened them, but with a ratchet, they come off very easily. You want to go ahead and pull this top portion off. Make sure that everything stays together. Okay, so now we have the carb itself. Here's your carb, here's your intake for the fuel, your fuel line, you have your air in here, basically a whole bunch of tubing and some screws. So as you can see here, everything's held on. Here's a clamp. On these over here, they don't have clamps, so it's a lot easier. So you basically want to just start kind of pulling off some tubes here. But first, before we go ahead and start taking off anything, we want to make sure that you are aware of how things go. If you need to take a picture, take a picture. Makes it easier for yourself, so that way you can remember and look back at it when you need to reinstall everything. So here, I already know what I'm doing here now that I've done it multiple times. So I'm just going to go ahead and start taking some things off. You're going to want to go ahead and take off the spring here. It's a little different with gloves on. The spring here, and all of these rods here are going to have clamps, or should I say plastic sleeves that kind of hold them in place. Those are just going to pop right off. A little bit of force, but they'll pop right off here, so that way you can go ahead and take this off. We're going to go ahead and start taking off this clamp here so that we can pull this line right off. Set that aside. There's another line underneath that you want to go ahead and pull off. It pulls off relatively easy here. Set that aside here. There's a big tube on the other side that pulls right off as well. Okay, and so now we're going to go ahead and work on getting this specific one off. It usually gives me a little bit of trouble, but it goes upwards. So I usually use my pliers. Boom, there it is. Go ahead and take off the retention spring, control, and then we're also just going to pull that right off. Perfect. So now almost everything's disconnected. The only thing left is to disconnect or to unscrew are 4 bolts here. And then underneath, there is one hose and one electrical portion that you just pull right off. So we're just going to go ahead and start unscrewing some things. So if you want to go ahead and fast forward through this, we're going to go ahead and do that for you. So now it looks like we have everything unscrewed. Everything is detached. So now we can basically just go ahead and pull it off enough to where we can see the under portion here. Under here, there's a tube that just pulled right off that goes onto this portion right here on this nipple. And then there's an electrical portion right here that you just pull right off. And there you have it. Oops. Here is your carb. So as you can see here, it's previously been cleaned, so all the jets look good and everything looks really nice. So that was just to kind of show you how to remove it. It's the install, or should I say the putting back in, that's a little bit more time consuming just because you have to make sure that all the tubes are put on correctly, and especially the tube that's underneath is a little bit more difficult to put on, but it's really not hard at all. So we just wanted to show you guys this, so that way if you're ever worried or scared about having to do this yourself, it's really not the nightmare that you may think it is. It's a lot easier and a lot more simple than you had previously thought. So let's go ahead and show you the process of putting it back in, so that way you guys can see exactly how easy it is to put back in, and we can go ahead and get that taken care of for you. All right, guys, so like I showed you before, this portion right here goes into this socket right here. Hopefully you can see it in the video right here. And then this nipple right here connects into this small tube right here, which is exactly why you want some needle nose pliers to be able to slide that right back on. It's really easy to slide back on if you have the proper tool to get it on. That's why I'm showing you with some needle nose pliers, you can just slide it right on. So we're gonna go ahead and connect our electrical portion here. Make sure the sleeve is covering everything it needs to cover. Okay, so now that we have that, we're gonna go ahead and slide it kind of back in. And before you can fully slide it back in, you wanna make sure that you have a hold of that tube to be able to slide it on to the actual carb itself before putting it all the way down. So, so that tube is all the way on. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure we can slide everything and push everything back into its proper place. Make sure that all the rods are facing the correct direction here. Perfect. Okay. Sorry about that. That's our flatbed kind of bouncing a little bit. So now that we see that everything's kind of where it needs to be, everything's plugged in correctly on the bottom portion, we're just gonna go ahead and thread the carb in a little bit so it holds into place. All right, so it's held into place here. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my 10mm sockets because we're gonna go ahead and start using that here shortly, but we're gonna go ahead and now I'm gonna show you exactly where everything needs to go back. So we're gonna go ahead and make sure that all the plastic sleeve is put back in place and everything, and make sure everything's nice and snug. So I know I already made sure this was snug before, but I wanna make sure that's good now. This is good here. So we went ahead and put our rod back onto this throttle area here, and so we're going to use our needle nose pliers to take this spring that we left on. Okay, so short end is going to go here, and then the long end is going to go ahead, and we're going to go across the rod area here. So So now that we're in here, just take our needle nose, slide it right in there. There's a black plastic sleeve that goes right over that rod to hold it in place so it doesn't slide off or bounce off. Want to make sure you clip that right in. So that portion's done there. So we're good there. Now we're going to come into this area here and then insert the portion here into its appropriate sleeved area. So you're gonna go ahead and pull it back, slide it on down there, and then you're gonna go ahead and take your spring and pull it all the way back to where it needs to go, which is gonna be directly underneath the light blue or kind of turquoise-ish sleeve that goes over that rod that controls the throttle. So just go ahead and take it and then slide it in place. So that's done there. And now that I've already put that in, I'm gonna go ahead and put that last tube in. So now it's all the way in. So now basically the entire carb is sat in there almost all the way tightened down. Now we just gotta go ahead and do the final touches here. Go ahead and use our 10mm to go ahead and start tightening down everything. Perfect. So that's basically the gist of the carb itself. When you go ahead and reinstall, you want to make sure that it's reinstalled with the appropriate holes lined up for your bolts. You're going to go ahead and set in place. Take your nut here. Make sure everything's tightened down. And this is just for ease of use of the video, just to kind of show you the proper procedure here. So everything will be nice and tight here, nice and tight here. And last but not least, your air filter goes on with your wing nut. The lid only fits one way, snaps into place, and ta-da, done. So if you like these kinds of videos here, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any questions, concerns, anything whatsoever about the carb or anything whatsoever, leave us a comment. Let us know if you need anything. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.